Welcome, everybody. That's much better. Thank you. Yeah, this is really odd. So welcome to our afternoon session. This is a much less formal vibe, so I'm glad that we're all sort of embracing it. Please feel free to get up, grab snacks, go for walks, whatever you need to do. This is our opportunity to sort of data mine your experience and get the reality of the situation that's going on, some of the questions that might be out there, some of the things that you're taking away. When we're done with this, I was talking to Rich about this, we're hoping to do a little share out on the back end about some of the key elements that are coming through. We'll put those up on the board, and then we'll make that available to everybody should they be interested when we're done. If you check in your handouts, there should be a session 1 booklet group of 4 questions. Those are starting points. These conversations could veer way off. The goal is to really engage with the topic of codes and standards in our industry, the ethics surrounding it, the concerns with it, the realities of integrating them, or the realities of where they currently stand, right? So feel free to use this time as you see fit to engage with these questions. And we'll probably take the first hour 10 for this conversation to get going, and then for the back chunk, do our share out to sort of hear how everything's going. Sound good? It is really eerie to have the president of USITT sort of staring at you and laughing. It's like a little unnerving. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, I appreciate you. It's totally my fault. No, it's all good. Thank you very much. Feel free to shift tables if you want, whatever you need. All right, so enjoy the time, and thank you very much for participating in the working session. We'll go from there. Thanks. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for participating in that extraordinarily exciting exercise. What I'd like to do is go ahead and start our sort of share out portion for this. We have about 20 minutes until the session is over. If we don't share out everything, that is fine. I'm going to ask that our facilitators come over and make sure that we get everything that we might have missed. And rather than doing the, hey table, tell me everything that you talked about, what I'd like to do is sort of cycle through the tables and offer a point as we go. That'll also give you an opportunity to say, hey, about that point that you offered over there, we want to say this, right? So that's the way that this will run. What I'm going to do to sort of kick us off, yes, please.
If we're going to do that way, it's going to make the cycling of the microphones hard. So will you say out loud for the recording as you write down?
The takeaway? Yes. I'm also going to write it down up here for us. So we're going to worry less about cycling microphones and more about me saying it out loud. Thank you for the recording element. So one of the first things that we were talking about, we're very fortunate because Jennifer is not from our field. And so we had this wonderful opportunity to talk about how is it that what we've been talking about in there, how can it apply to folks who might not be going into technical theater? It allowed us to sort of think of things a little more broadly. And one of the things that we got to is that no matter what a student decides to do, they are likely to be governed by some form of code or standard, right? So this conversation is applicable regardless of discipline. And so what we were talking about was the idea that if you're trying to put together an exercise, for example, having the students identify the field that they want to be in and then engage with a professional from that field is a great first step, because if anyone's going to know who's constrained by their standards, it's the people working in that field. So it gives an opportunity to sort of say, what are the fields that I need to start growing and developing my awareness in? And the other element of it was like, at that point, once you know what standards might apply to you, now you can start actually learning how to engage with and read those standards, right? So it was less important at an initial point to know all of the standards, and more just to know what standards apply and how to read them. So that was our sort of first takeaway. I'm going to go ahead and write it up here. Would you like to offer the second takeaway? Table awesome?
You guys table awesome. We're good.
I'm sorry, we're table awesome. This is table cool. Okay, just checking.
All right. We talked about a lot of different things. I think off the top, and so one of the last things we talked about was kind of instilling in students a culture of a bunch of phrases here. If you see something, say something. That looks sketchy. and there's no ego in theater, right? Meaning, if I see something, I should say something, and if somebody says that they saw something sketchy, I should listen, even if I didn't think it was sketchy, and have a moment to look at it. And then that can activate looking at standards and codes. But it was sort of more focused on the ethics of care.
So what I heard there was that in a way you don't have to be an expert in the field to recognize that something might be going on. And so paying attention to expressions like that looks sketchy, or embracing the notions of if you see something, say something, and there's no ego in theater, those are sort of the ways to engage regardless of whether or not you're an expert. Is that sort of where we're going?
Sort of. I think part of it was, I'm on the sound load in team, and I see something about that way that chain hoist for that piece of scenery I know probably isn't correct. It's not just okay, it's probably important for you to recognize you should say something, even though you're not on the ceiling team that's loaded with chain hooks. And so you need to not have any ego about whether you can or cannot engage with that conversation, and they should not have any ego about whether you have or have not engaged with that conversation, right?
Perhaps with this current generation, that's a particular, in my observation, this latest generation cohort seems to really want to know where that boundary is. Yes. Right? They really don't want those boundaries to be as permeable as we need them to be in order to have this culture of shared safety, shared culture.
That to a certain degree, the safety ethics questions override any other sort of departmental, disciplinary, organizational structure. That we're all engaged in making sure no one dies.
So what I've got is that these factors are important because it's important for us to engage even if it's not specifically your responsibility, and that those boundaries between disciplines must be permeable to allow for that. Does that sound about right?
And there are ways to manage it, like have that conversation gently.
Yeah.
You don't have to add right that part down.
Manage it.
Like, I don't have to be a jerk about it. But
So we were talking about the trolley.
Yeah, that's going to be our second point.
Number
Yeah.
number two gets into the trolley.
Yes.
And how you teach which part of the trolley you're on.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, trust me. Any big takeaways?
So one of the things that we talked about, whether this is working or not, one of the things we talked about is that life is an open book test. And so we need to shift the thinking of you must memorize this, memorization equals knowledge, but shifting to helping people understand that resources exist, how to find those resources, and it's more important that you know how to find them than you learn them.
Yep. Know how to find them.
Know they exist and how to find them.
How to find and that they exist. That's an excellent point, that sort of retention and regurgitation really just comes from whether or not you're dealing with it day to day, and that's not necessarily as important, especially for getting into live entertainment, where you might be facing a challenge that you've literally never seen before in your entire life.
We
So yeah,
thrive on
yeah,
a challenge that we've never done
why we do
before.
Oh yeah.
We don't want to do the same thing every day.
No.
we are saying that live entertainment is very much like the prototyping industry. It's just that the prototype is the product, and so you're constantly R&Ding as you go. So yeah, very much so. Thoughts from the table? Oh, what table? That was Team Cool. We're Table Awesome.
We're going with Megan's nails, so we're going chrome.
Table
Table chrome.
They're very shiny.
Okay, Table Chrome and Table. I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm going to ask you to remember your own table names. Please go ahead. What do we got?
One of the things we talked about was the challenge of retention in terms of sharing information with students, and then the different methods in which you may or may not see that play out. So whether that's in an intro class teaching where the standards are, and then seeing a student apply that for a specific production, but also the likelihood that you may never see them apply it, and you just kind of have to hope that they retain it as they go out into the industry. And work.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. Like, we might not know whether or not it's stuck. It's very interesting. In terms of, would you mind, Jennifer, walking people through the sort of trolley example that we were talking about. I believe there is a mic kicking around right here. So,
Is it on? Hello. Hi. I'm Jen. It's nice to meet you all. I don't remember who started bringing up the trolley dilemma, but the question was asked, how many are you familiar with the classic ethics trolley dilemma? Just curious. Okay. I will try to make this as quick as possible. The question was asked like, hey, if we think about the trolley dilemma, how does that apply to, you asked it. I forget what you were saying, how does it apply to something?
yeah.
And the beginning of the trolley dilemma, for those of you who don't know, is imagine that you are standing next to a train track and you're standing next to, what is it called, a Y in the train track. And this is a really shitty hypothetical, just FYI. You cannot change anything about this lousy hypothetical.
Don't try and theater your way out.
You
Yeah, no
can't-
creative
no,
problem
no.
solving prototypers.
There are not
Sorry, go ahead.
variables that can be changed. There are 5 people tied to the track, and there is a train coming down the track, and it will run over and kill those 5 people. But you are next to a lever, and if you pull the lever, the train will be diverted to a area of track where there's 1 person tied to the track. And so the question, the ethical dilemma is, should you pull the lever? How many of you would pull the lever? Let's do it real quick, just live. How many of you would pull the lever?
Yeah, kill 1 person, save 5.
And I can't change
You-
anything.
You can't change anything,
change
and you
it.
have to decide. You
Okay.
either pull the lever or you don't. How many
Okay.
of you would pull the lever? Only 1 person dies. 5 people don't die. Okay.
I'm watching some people get real bloodthirsty. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Wait, who's the one
We-
person?
Who is that 1 person?
Who are the 5?
You don't know.
Excellent
Let's go.
follow-up
You
question.
don't know.
Okay.
You don't know these people.
Okay.
No relation to them. You don't know them.
Here we are, you're gaming it.
Did you not hear the point about don't try to theater out of it? All right, so what was this?
It's okay. I've done this before. I teach ethics in other ways. All right. So, how many of you would just curious? One more show of hands. How many of you would pull the lever? Cool,
A
cool, cool.
one-person level.
All right. Scenario 2. There's a trolley. There's no longer a lever. You are a person. There are 5 people tied to the tracks where the trolley is going down the tracks. However, this time you are on a bridge, and there is another person next to you on the bridge. And for some magical reason, in this lousy hypothetical, if you push the person next to you on the bridge onto the train tracks, it will stop the train. It will kill that person, but the 5 people will be saved. You cannot jump yourself. Not an option. You have to push someone else. Do you push the other person?
Very Squid Games. This is exactly, Stephen, you're right. Okay.
Who will push the other person? Who will not?
I'm seeing fewer hands at least. Yeah,
So
Me actually like killing, not just the train.
exactly. Exactly.
all right, let me cut to the chase. When we
So cut to the
normally
chase.
when we normally have 35 minutes to talk to my students about this, what we come up with is that actually this experiment has been done over and over and over again, and most people will pull the lever. And they say the reason is that they want to save 5 people, and they're like, the math sucks, but like you sacrifice the 1 to save the 5. The very same people often will not push another person. And it's for the reason you said, because then you're killing a person. And then students will say, but pulling the lever, you're killing a person too. Well, so they've done this, they've done studies where they see like what happens in our brains. And it turns out that these 2 different scenarios do fire different decision-making parts in our brains. And what's actually important about this takeaway, so if you want to know I'm not a philosopher, but like if you pull the lever, you're generally thinking about the consequences of saving 5, sacrificing 1. That's kind of utilitarianism. If you say, I will not push the man, even though the math is the same, it's because you're thinking about the morality of your actions and not so much the consequences. And you're saying, I'm not willing to take that action, even if the consequences are like this. The important takeaway here is that when you're asking people to solve an ethical dilemma, they will do so using different rules. Sometimes because different parts of their brains are activated, sometimes because different stories that they know are activated. For whatever reason, when you're thinking about something like safety, you may be able to appeal to people by their empathy to say, like, you don't want to be that person who, left the sketchy thing sketchy and thus somebody got injured. That's going to work for people who have high empathy. For other people, you're going to have to be like, nope, you will get in trouble. And you're gonna have to appeal to maybe like an authority as they get their moral systems from authority. It just kind of depends. And there are actually many more other ways that people think about moral dilemmas. But the takeaway is that it's not the same.
Well, and can we give it up real quick?
Yeah.
For the,
Wow.
thank you for explaining that so exquisitely. Yeah, when we were talking about this, every time I've ever heard about an avocation for safety, it has been dollar signs and toe tags, right? Well, that's a very outcomes, consequences driven language. And I often find that many of us who go into the arts are going in with a different approach, more of an empathy. So it might be that we want to shift our approach. And I was asking, how would we apply this? And Jennifer said, say to the person who's saying no, do you want to be responsible for killing someone? And it's, right, like I was like against the wall. But that might be an approach that would mix it up. So I just wanted to share that one. Nicely done, Jen. Other thoughts?
Or not.
Another thing that we were talking about, it kind of connects to some things that folks were saying before, and this is really sort of about specifically how do we put some things into the classroom. We were talking about Bloom's taxonomy of learning. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about that because we have other things to talk about. But basically, there's some knowledge that you recall and you understand, and there's some knowledge. There's the other end of that spectrum is knowledge that is used to create new knowledge and do new things with. And thinking about these questions in that context, are there ways to think about code, statutes, and ethics at the low end of Bloom's taxonomy? And so whenever I teach my Lighting 101 class and I talk about how to wire a lighting fixture connector up, I just make sure I talk about there is a standard for that, right? Lighting fixture, like wiring for lighting fixtures? There must be.
Oh, yeah.
Wiring for lighting fixtures?
Yeah.
National Electrical Code.
Yeah,
I mean,
NEC.
yeah.
Yeah.
I call it out in that class every time I talk about it. It's in the syllabus, it's in the assignment, we just mention it. We don't necessarily memorize it, but it's just always there every time. And when we hang a light fixture, we call out that code in the classroom and in the reading at the low level. And then as we move up, classes where students, we say, like, for example, go capstone where you have to find the codes and statutes that will apply to your particular design project. And there was one in the middle where you go around and find all the things that are wrong in my shop.
Oh,
Yeah, dare them to find all the things that are wrong on stage based on X, Y, or Z standards. So that they're learning how to apply them. Like you get 3 places along Bloom's. So incorporate that into everybody's courses in some way.
So if I were to summarize that on a microphone,
Sorry.
what I'm hearing is that take a look at the Bloom's taxonomy and the entry-level stuff, work on the bottom to build a foundation, and then as people advance and move to maybe capstone level classes, you can start engaging with the now let's apply.
So that it's throughout all of the courses.
And that, yeah, that way it's baked into the entirety of their education. Excellent point. Wonderful, thank you. Yes.
So we were having a conversation. I am professional staff at a university. I run the theater, the main stage season, right, adjacent to the university. I'm not teaching in the classroom, but how can I model safety standards so the students see that then we consider, our main stage productions, our laboratories, our hands-on application. At least that's how we talk about it at a Research One university when we ask for money. It's a laboratory. But so it's that multi-layered, and then this goes to the question of then how does industry partner as well? If our students are seeing us take safety standards into account in the classroom as we do production, as they go into the industry, or as the manufacturers are telling you how to use their product safely, it's that repetitive but from different angles modeling of safety protocols are part of how we do business here. And I am the cold-hearted producer who makes the decision based on the money. We're doing Young Frankenstein. Here's an example. We're in design process for Young Frankenstein right now. We need to fly Frankenstein. We need to fly the monster. Great. I'm hiring a company in. None of you have the expertise. It will probably diminish some of the other special effects budgets. That's a yes. Yes, and consequences. we're not flying the monster. The design team chose.
Good, gentle parenting.
But it is me centering, and it is me understanding my position of power and modeling that. And that's part of what the partnership with industry, the partnership with practical learning, the partnership with classroom learning can reiterate. Sorry,
Love
that was
it.
very long-winded.
No, I love it. I love it.
One of the things that we were talking about was how some of the younger generation seems to be prioritizing safety on their own in some ways, and kind of paying attention to that maybe a little bit more than previous generations. And then associated with that is also this idea of when instructing and teaching about these standards and codes to not get stuck on the well we just can't do that, right? But instead to say, well, what's the risk assessment? What's the risk reduction? What does that look like? And make sure that it's, and I think this in some ways ties back to this idea of the boundaries must be permeable. Even when we're talking about codes, we still have to evaluate kind of the context for them as we're moving forward.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm looking at the time, and we're actually at the end of this particular session. I want to thank you all for engaging in this, and thank you for bringing these great ideas. I mean, I'm so jazzed, and we only got through 9 of these. I'm going to ask that our facilitators, whomever representative from the table, might email me whatever your thoughts are. I'll put them together for Rich to then distribute to everyone. But most importantly, thank you for today. Rich, anything for the group?
Instead of trying to retype all of the notes, feel free to take photographs
Yes.
of the worksheet pages and just email those.
Yeah, this is being filmed, which is why I've been putting it up here. So this stuff's coming. Don't worry about repeating this. But yeah, please feel free to take a photo of the notes, send them our way. And most importantly, thank you very much, everyone. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thanks very much.